Hello everyone, welcome back to the Zekko football channel. It's been a less than ideal start for Chelsea with losses against West Ham and Nottingham Forest. But it's their attack that seems to be suffering the most, with only one goal scored between those two games. Today we're going to have a look at the problems Chelsea are facing going forwards. If you're new to the channel, please make sure that you subscribe, you like the video and all of that good stuff. And now let's try and fix Chelsea's attack. The first thing that I want to do is have a look at Chelsea's two matches, the two games that they really should have been winning. The first one is going to be against Nottingham Forest, the most recent match, and although they did dominate the game, I think they could have done a whole lot better, and I think it's down to the setup that has really caused them some issues. And really, we have been over this in the recap, so if you haven't checked that out, please go and do so. But when we have a look at their starting lineup, this is a 3-4-3, but it's not. It's not. When you actually have a look at the average positions, what actually it turns out to be is a 4-3-3. And it means that Ben Chilwell, instead of being a left wing back like it looks like on the tactical sheet, he's actually a left winger. And Levi Colwell is actually going to be the left back. Now, I have some issues with this. And the main issues that I have are Ben Chilwell is not a left winger. He's just not. He doesn't have the positioning that you need to be a left winger. He doesn't have the options to be a left winger. Yes, he can drive with the ball, I suppose. Yes, he can put in a cross, but he only managed, I think, 4 crosses in this game. One of them was correct and one of them was hitting Nicholas Jackson. So if you're not going to be crossing the ball to Nicholas Jackson, you're not going to have Ben Chilwell moving with the ball. You're not going to have him drift infield because he can't, because he's only one-footed really. Levi Colwell is not going to be making overlaps. It just seems like you're hampering this left-hand side for nearly no reason. And I do wonder what Mauricio Pochettino is thinking. I think he's outthought himself. I think he's trying to be a little bit too technical, a bit too clever, and I think he needs to revert back to something that worked for him previously. The idea of balance in different positions. If we have a look at the West Ham-Chelsea game, this is very much the same. Again, another same of tone. West Ham end up winning this game by 3-1, but Chelsea dominated the ball, and it's through the transition that Chelsea is seriously struggling. Now, one of the main points I would look towards of Chelsea picking an almost a back 3 or a back 4 if you want to look at it, with Levi Colwell as the left back, one of the main positives I would pick is the fact that they should be defensively strong. But with the goal against Antonio that we'll have a look at in a little bit, I just thought that Levi Colwell could have done better. With the positioning that Ben Chilwell was in, he wasn't able to come back and recover, and Levi Colwell was beaten for pace. He was beaten for strength. So clearly he hasn't been included for that reason. And if we have a look at the average positions here, instead of it being a 3 at the back, it's actually a 4, as we can see here. Here is the back 4 with Levi Colwell as the left back. Ben Chilwell is out on this left wing position, one of the furthest forward players, which is okay, I suppose. But again, when we have a look at his heat map, he's again really pushed far up. He picks up the ball in higher areas and he's trying to get towards the box, but he's not an attacker. And I think this is seriously hampering the way that Chelsea go forwards, and it's definitely impacting the balance that they have in this team. Raheem Sterling has had a good start to the season, but it's really being mitigated by the fact that Chelsea don't really have any left wing presence. Mikhail Mudryk clearly isn't chosen ahead of Ben Chilwell, and I think that's a massive issue. Not only is it a massive dent to his confidence, but it's also got to be some kind of a problem in terms of squad depth. Ben Chilwell's been chosen ahead of one of the most expensive wingers in the world, and that is a massive, massive issue. Now, don't get me wrong, I really like Ben Chilwell. I think he's a fantastic player, but I think he's a fantastic left back. I don't think he's a fantastic winger. We've never seen him play as a winger, and from what I've seen, he's not exactly great. I really do think that Mauricio Pochettino needs to go back and have a look at what could be different in this Chelsea setup, because at the moment, the balance isn't right. Let's now have a look at the matches. Let's start with the Nottingham Forest game. So this is a still image from the Forest game. Chelsea are currently in possession, as you can see, with Conor Gallagher. Caicedo is next to him. Malagusto is walking in field, and you have Enzo and Sterling here. The player that I want to focus on is Ben Chilwell out on this left-hand side. Remember, he's a left back playing in a left wing role, and we need to remember this. It's not his fault. But currently in this position, I don't think he's doing anything. Conor Gallagher is currently moving in field and he's looking for a pass. But Jackson is marked. Caicedo is currently being pressed, so he can't play that. Malagusto, Enzo and Sterling are out of range or out of position because of the Forest players here, which means there's theoretically only one pass on, and that's a crossfield pass over to Ben Chilwell. But I think he's out of position. I think he should be around about here, on the last line of defence. Perhaps that's a little bit offside, but you know what I'm saying. On the last line of defence, ready to be able to receive a pass, to be able to drive towards the byline. Or even just to give Conor Gallagher another option. Instead, he's come infield, and perhaps that's by instruction from Mauricio Pochettino, but it's just not working to Chelsea's effect. Instead, Conor Gallagher has two options. He can either recycle possession backwards, or he can take the shot on with his left foot. He decides to take the shot, and it's quite close, but I believe he takes the shot because he doesn't have any other options. And that is a big, big issue. Chelsea's balance in the attack is just not there, and while they have been utilising the right hand side, the left hand side is just null and void, and I think they could be doing so much more. Let's have a look at another one. This is another image from the Nottingham Forest game. As you can see, we've got Jackson running in towards the box. Conor Gallagher has already made a run. Enzo Fernandez is out on the side. Malagusto is overlapping Raheem Sterling, who is currently driving. Here we have, out of your picture, we have Caicedo, and Levi Colwell is just here. But what I want to focus on again is Ben Chilwell, who neither makes a run into the box because he's not necessarily a left winger, nor does he make a run in behind Serge Aurier. He's not really doing anything apart from just occupying a role. And while I think this might be a little bit harsh on Ben Chilwell, it's kind of the example that I'm looking for to be able to establish the lack of balance in this Chelsea attack. I don't think Levi Colwell is ever going to be making a darting run round and overlapping Chilwell on certain occasions. He might do it one time in a game, but I don't think he has the stamina nor the real pace and power to be able to do it. It just seems like such an odd move when we consider the defensive reinforcements that they don't really give with both of them being on the pitch. And the negative of having a left back, again we'll say it, as a left winger just seems so great, and it really was felt in that West Ham game. This is a still image of the West Ham game, and as you can see, it's just before the Mikel Antonio goal. What I want to focus on a couple of things actually. First of all, Antonio is about to run in. The ball has just been played over the top for Antonio to really chase. We've got Disasi making a backwards run to try and cover the Antonio run, and Levi Colwell, who should have been seeing the likes of Antonio, has run late. He's either playing offside or Antonio got the spring on him. He's trying to run backwards. But Ben Chilwell is out here on this left position, and while I'm not blaming him in particular for this, I do think that it's really been a problem for Colwell playing out in this left back role. I just don't think he's particularly suited to it. Now, Thiago Silva gets drawn into midfield to try and break up some of the play, which means that Disasi isn't going to need to cover. But if this is Chilwell, I do feel like he gets back a little bit better, and I do think he has the pace to be able to deal with Antonio. Instead, something else happens. Instead, Colwell manages to get muscled off the ball. Disasi fails to really block off Antonio and show him down the line and show him towards the touchline, and instead Antonio runs in on goal and scores. So the defensive reinforcements that Colwell being at left back with Ben Chilwell being at left wing isn't there. Their attacking and offensive capabilities just aren't quite there either, which means that this entire left hand side is a problem. It might seem a little bit harsh, but I do think that Mauricio Pochettino is overthinking this quite a bit. The idea of a centre-back playing at left-back might seem good on paper, but at the moment I just don't think it's particularly working, and it's having a massive hampering effect on their ability to go forwards through this left-hand side. On top of that, if we had a look at Levi Colwell, I'm not actually sure he's a decent left-back. I think he's a good centre-back, but we have to remember that he's 20 years old and he's still growing into the roles that he's currently been given. I'm aware that he's played at left-back for Brighton, and I'm sure he'll do anything for the side, but something just doesn't seem right here. I wonder if a caveat or part of Levi Colwell's new contract was a certain amount of minutes and a certain amount of starts, and it was absolutely fundamentally crucial for Chelsea to keep him in the team. But if he wasn't going to stay in the team and he wasn't going to play regular minutes, maybe he would have moved on to a team like Liverpool. It makes me wonder whether he is being shoehorned into this position because of the contract situation that he's recently been in. And perhaps Mauricio Pochettino feels something of a loyalty towards Colwell because he stayed at Chelsea. Now, if this isn't the case, I really do need to question the reason why Colwell, with not too much pace, not too much power, not too much recovery, is being played in a position when Ben Chilwell has all of those attributes, and then the ability to go forward and make overlapping runs. When we think about the best Mauricio Pochettino sides, not the PSGs or anything else, but the Tottenham side that really went and got going, we think about wingers coming inside and playing with the striker. We think about overlapping fullbacks, making sure that they can keep the width and then play crosses into the box. But Chelsea are not crossing the ball. Chelsea are not necessarily overlapping on this left-hand side because Colwell cannot. And it means that there is an imbalance in the midfield. But I think it's extremely fixable. I think that the ability to have Chilwell back in this left-back slot and then bring a winger in is something that is absolutely vital. Whether it's a Cole Palmer, but although he can play on the right, whether it's a Mudryk, whether it's any kind of player, they need to try and fix this. I'd even think about trying to play Maatsen because I think he's more of an offensive player than Ben Chilwell is. But this is the scenario that I have come up with. This is a simple enough issue. I've got Mudryk out on this left-hand side. I've still got Enzo in this central attacking midfield position. And I've got Ben Chilwell back in this left-back slot. Now, it might seem something that's a little bit simple, and it is, to be completely honest. But I think that is the point. I think Mauricio Pochettino is overcomplicating a situation that didn't really need fixing. He's attempting to fix a problem that there wasn't an issue with. Ben Chilwell is a very, very good left-back, and his ability to go up and down the pitch is something that I think is some of the best in the league. And yes, Mykhailo Mudryk is not necessarily performing at his optimum level, but I think he could do with getting a good run of games. I think the confidence that he would get from playing continuously, albeit to a lower level, might give him the encouragement and the awareness to be able to up his game, link up with Jackson, and then play in through goal. Chelsea are currently not scoring goals and they're conceding. So something needs to change, and I believe it's the imbalance in this side, on the left-hand side, that is causing a lot of their issues. Moises Caicedo could cover for Chilwell if he was to leave his position, and then they would be able to be that little bit more threatening going forwards. Defensively, they would still be aware with the likes of Gallagher and Caicedo. Gallagher could also be replaced for Lavia. I believe this is an issue that is absolutely fixable, but it takes Mauricio Pochettino to stop being so complicated to try and change it. Let me know what you guys think about Chelsea and their attacking woes going forwards. I would love to hear from you, and how would you fix this Chelsea problem? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, take care.